Ariana from Italy. Please like and subscribe. I was born in a small town to adoring parents. They weren't wealthy, but they kind of spoiled me. I had too many clothes because Mom kept making me pretty dresses from her old ones, and Dad's coat pockets always had chocolates for me. That I ate behind Mom's back. Life was good, except for one thing. I was growing up really clumsy. I'd run straight into glass doors, walk into puddles, trip over everything. But when I was 5, I did something crazy. It was my cousin's wedding, and as I ran up the church stairs, I missed the last step and tripped. As I went flying, I grabbed the bride's dress and heard it rip. I looked up to see her screaming with her underwear showing. The whole wedding was called off. Ariana, can't you ever watch where you're going? I'm sorry, Mom, but sometimes I just don't see things. My parents took me to an eye doctor, and we discovered that my eyesight was terribly weak. When I wore glasses for the first time, I was suddenly seeing a whole new world. But at school, this girl just wouldn't stop making fun of my glasses. One day, I was going home when she called out,
"Hey, want me to clean those windows on your face?"
And she threw some soapy water at me. I ignored her and walked off to Dad, but he'd seen everything.
Ariana, go back and teach that bully a lesson right now, or this will never end.
He was right. I ran straight back at the girl and knocked her down. I sat on her and pulled her hair.
"Next time you mess with me, I'll bite you. I'll bite all of you."
No one ever bothered me after that. In fact, I had tons of friends growing up, but in 9th grade, everything changed. I came back home one day to find Mom crying hysterically, and I was shook to see the note she gave me. "My darlings, I'm leaving immediately and I can't come back. Please forgive me." Dad, what? What did he mean? Just then we heard loud banging on the door. We opened it to find half the town outside, looking mad.
"Where's that trash husband of yours? We want our money back."
It turned out that Dad had taken money from everyone for some investment scheme and ran away with it. They said they'd be back for him, and Mom and I were horrified. Dad had just abandoned us to deal with this? So Mom made a decision. We were going to leave immediately for the US, where her sister lived. We traveled to New York, and my aunt welcomed us into her home. I was eager to meet my cousin, but she was on vacation with her dad. Aunt was the principal at a school, and soon she enrolled me there, and even got Mom a janitor's job.
"But dear sister, do I really have to work? I could cook for you. This is America. Everyone works here. You can stay with me, but you'll have to earn for yourself."
Summer break was soon over, and on my first day of school, I sat down at the back of the classroom. Suddenly, a boy snatched my glasses.
"I want to try on these goggles." "Whoa, girl, you're half blind."
"Oh, I never noticed. I'm stupido."
"You're Italian? Your accent is adorable."
"I can't say the same for you. Without my glasses, there's no difference between you and a donkey. Now give them back before I cut you."
Ah, that hot Italian blood. Tell me, how many fingers am I holding up?
"How many fingers do you want me to poke into your eyes?" The boy laughed, and I was about to attack him when someone stepped in. "Give those back. She's my cousin, Danny, so you better not mess with her." I saw that it was the girl from the picture at Aunt's house. She was my cousin.
Ugh, you're back. I was hoping you had changed schools, Sandra.
Just then, the teacher walked in, and everyone flew to their seats. Later at recess, Sandra put an arm through mine. "You're really lucky to have me, Ariana. I'm pretty popular around here. And, oh, just stay away from Danny. We dated for a while, and he's a jerk." I was glad to have a friend, and she sure was popular. She was always surrounded by admiring boys and girls who seemed really eager to please her. One day, a friend of hers walked in wearing a Gucci bag, and Sandra shrieked, "OMG, where'd you get that from? It's been sold out everywhere." "My dad got it from Japan." "Yeah, I don't care. Just give me it." And her friend actually did. But she looked upset as she turned around and left. "Sandra, it's a present from her dad. You can't take it." "Why not? I see it, I like it, I want it, I got it." Wow, maybe friendships were just different here. One day, I was walking to the library when I heard Danny behind me.
Hey, Bimbo, you dropped this paper.
Did you just call me Bimbo?
Yeah, it means baby in Italian, right?
Oh, I thought you called me the American Bimbo, but I'm not a baby either.
You could be. Mine. You're pretty, even with those binoculars. And well, just look at me. I'm perfecto, superbo, marvelo.
Stop making up words. And Sandra said she dumped you because you're a jerk.
Don't believe everything she says, Ariana. She's not a very nice person.
She says the same thing about you. And with that, I walked away. But what he'd said was kinda true. Sandra was good with me, but she wasn't the nicest to others. Sandra had started dating this jock, Brian, and one day the three of us were walking down the corridor when I saw Mom mopping the floor. I was about to wave to her when suddenly Sandra pulled me back. Are you crazy? Act like you don't know her.
Why would I do that?
You want everyone to know that you're the janitor's daughter? And worse, they'll know she's my aunt.
Just then, Brian suddenly slipped on the wet floor and he started screaming at Mom.
You stupid woman! Are you cleaning or trying to get us killed? I'm the team's star player. I can't afford an injury.
As Mom started apologizing, I helped Brian up and slapped him hard.
Don't talk like that to my mother, you moron.
Sandra suddenly pushed me. Hey, don't forget that you two are just beggars living on our charity. Don't you dare touch my boyfriend again. But I can touch you, right? And with that, I pounced on her. As Mom shouted at us to stop, someone suddenly pulled us apart. Danny was holding me back, and Brian was holding Sandra. You've made such a mistake, you four-eyed witch. You've lost my friendship and my protection.
Protection from what? The only bully here is you. And the next time, I'll slap you so hard, you'll go flying to the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Just then, a teacher came, and everyone scattered. I was certain Sandra would go crying to Aunt about me, but to my surprise, she didn't. I kept quiet too, but only because Mom asked me to. No one was talking to me in class the next day because of Sandra. Later, I was putting stuff in my locker when I heard her behind me. Aw, what's it like to be a loser with 0 friends?
Oh, such a relief. You and your friends are not really my type. Now, if you'll excuse me, my boyfriend is waiting.
And with that, I walked over to Danny, who was standing in the corridor, and kissed him smack on the lips.
What you doing?
Just to play along, idiota. We kissed again, and Sandra looked furious. She stormed off, and I pushed Danny away. Hey, listen to me. I want to annoy Sandra, and I know she'll hate me for going out with her ex. And you hate her too, so we can pretend to date?
Do we really have to fake it?
Yes, only fake. Are you in or out?
Pissing Sandra off and being close to you? Oh, I am so in, Mrs. Harry Potter.
And it sure was fun. Danny was pretty popular himself, and Sandra looked mad to see me turning up at every cool kid's party on his arm. He was on the school's basketball team too, and right before a big game, Sandra was standing behind us when Danny kissed me and said,
"You're my good luck charm, babe. My last girlfriend made me lose every game, and she was a bad kisser."
I'm sure, amor mio. Must be like kissing a cold dead fish. Sandra looked furious, but she was called just then for the cheerleading routine. She forgot half of it, messed up completely, and left the ground screaming. A few days later, we had the Valentine's Day dance at school. When I got there, I looked for Danny everywhere, but I couldn't find him. Just then a kid came and told me that Danny was waiting for me in the gym. I stepped inside, and suddenly, all the lights went out, and then someone snatched my glasses off my face. I heard laughter and running feet, and the door being locked shut. I stumbled to it in the dark, but no matter how much I banged on it, no one came. After ages, the door finally burst open, and Danny hugged me.
Ariana, are you okay? I thought you hadn't come, but then someone told me they'd seen you going this way.
Of course Sandra's behind this, and I'm fine. I'm only crying because I'm angry. I'm not like some
damsel in distress.
No, I don't think anyone would ever call you that, Ariana.
And then he kissed me so gently. It wasn't like our fake kisses. This was different. Danny dropped me at home, and once I found my spare glasses, I slipped into Sandra's room and pounced on her in her sleep, making her scream for her life.
I know it was you who locked me up, witch.
Get off me, you psycho! And yeah, I did it, but you can't prove it.
What is your problem?
You and Danny.
Why? You don't even like him.
Yeah, but I don't want you to have him.
You're such a brat. Get over it, or don't. I won't stop seeing Danny.
Ugh, she was crazy. And I really didn't want to stop seeing Danny. In fact, I didn't want to fake it anymore. After the weekend, I decided to tell him how I felt. But when I went to class, I was shocked to see Sandra sitting on Danny's lap.
What's going on here?
Oh, Danny and I met yesterday at a party, and we just kinda reconnected. Basically, he came to his senses and realized I'm so much better for him than you are.
Danny, is this some prank? You hate Sandra. You told me...
Well, I was wrong, okay? And why do you care anyway? What we had was all fake. And I wasn't really gonna date the janitor's daughter.
I stared at him in shock. And just then the teacher walked in and I went to my seat. Even though Danny teased me, I didn't think he was a jerk. But things got worse when I was called into the principal's office that afternoon. I found Mom there crying and a pile of phones, watches, and cash on Aunt's desk. Aunt told me it was all the teacher's stuff stolen from their lockers and found it in Mom's.
So disgraceful. This is such poor repayment for everything I've done for you. But I didn't steal any of this. How were these things in your locker then? I have no choice but to fire you. This is so unfair, Aunt. Surely you can't believe this about my mom? Can't I? Your father turned out to be a thief too. Maybe his ways rubbed off on your mother.
I couldn't hear another word. I took Mom's hand and we left. We packed all our things and we were out of the house before Aunt and Sandra returned. We lived in a shelter till Mom found a job as a maid at a mansion. The owners were even kind enough to send me to school, and I was determined to work hard. I was going to get a scholarship to a good university and take care of us. I got into a great law program, and after working part-time jobs and studying my butt off, I graduated with honors. Soon, I was hired into a top law firm, and 5 years later, I became one of their youngest partners. One day, we had a meeting with a big firm, and when the owner turned up, I nearly fell off my seat. It was freaking Danny. He looked shocked to see me too, and then grinned. Oh God, I wanted to break his face even years later. When the meeting was over, Danny asked to speak to me alone. Once the others left, he said,
Ariana, can I be sure that you won't let our past affect how you handle this case?
Mr. Daniel, this is not high school. You can be sure that I'll be professional.
That's good to know. I never thought I'd meet you again, or that you'd be working for me.
I work for this company, not you. And as far as the case goes, I am the boss here. I make all the decisions.
Yes, ma'am. I always knew you were going to be successful one day.
I thought the same about you, but only because I knew you were going to inherit Daddy's company.
And I walked off. It felt so good putting him in his place. I had to see him a lot for the next month as we prepared for this case. I still hated him, but I couldn't help admitting that he was smart and seemed to know his work really well. One night, it was late when we got done, and he suggested we get dinner. As we were walking to the cafe, he asked,
So, how's your mom?
And suddenly, I felt furious.
She's not a janitor now, but I'll always be a janitor's daughter, and really proud to be. Listen, we can't be friends. I just can't forgive you for what you said, even now.
And before he could reply, I turned around and left. After weeks in court, we finally got a decision, and we won the case. I was so happy, I almost hugged Danny, but I just shook hands with him and left. As I was hurrying away, he caught up with me outside.
Ariana, please stop. Just give me one chance to say something.
Reluctantly, I nodded. Sandra told me to break up with you, and she said if I didn't, she'd have your mom lose her job and kick you guys out of her house. I hated saying those things to you so much. And then she had your mom kicked out anyway. When I found out, I was beyond furious. I told your aunt everything, and somehow she believed me. She sent Sandra to some strict boarding school. We tried looking for you two, but we had no luck.
I could hardly believe my ears.
I am so sorry, but I only thought I was doing what was better for you. And I loved you, so it wasn't easy for me. In fact, I'm still in love with you, Ariana. Do you think you can forgive me and we can start over?
I smiled at him and took his hand.
Fine, stop crying like a bimbo. We can start over. With you buying me lunch.